Okay. Now in illustration and collaboration, we have 5 tasks. The first one is prepare for elicitation. The second one is conduct elicitation. The third one is confirm elicitation results. And fourth one is communicate business analysis information. And fifth one is manage stakeholder collaboration, right? And we have covered prepare for elicitation. We have covered prepare for elicitation, right? We have covered it, prepare for elicitation. And in prepare for elicitation, so what we have seen so far for prepare for elicitation means, now I think you can easily tell me the elements which are involved in prepare for elicitation. What are the elements involved in prepare for elicitation? Number one, we understood the scope of the elicitation. Like you remember, like we have written about the domain, the business domain, and the corporate culture, and we have discussed about the locations, right? About that location we have seen, right? That is, we understood the scope of the elicitation by understanding the as is process, like what is exactly happening there. We understood about it. And then we have selected few illustration techniques as well, which is suitable in this particular project, and we have proposed a few things, and we selected a few illustration techniques. And then we discussed upon like setting up the logistics, how to conduct this particular illustration technique. For that, what logistics are required, that we have discussed about it, right? Logistics required. And then we discussed about the supporting materials, right? The timesheets and invoices, the empirical data, historical data, like all this is supporting materials. We have discussed about it. And then we discussed about preparing the stakeholders. We discussed about preparing the stakeholders, how to prepare the stakeholders. We should also educate the stakeholders that we are going to conduct illustration techniques, because of it you get so and so advantage, like that. So all this we have discussed, and we have also seen a part of it in the case study, right? Through the case study we have seen it. Now next is, the next one is, okay, the next one is conduct elicitation. The next task is conduct elicitation. Now conduct elicitation, here why we conduct elicitation is to, like the purpose of conducting an elicitation means is the actual plan. It is the actual action. What we do in elicitation is conduct elicitation only. That means you are now doing that illustration part. Okay, now the purpose of conducting illustration is to draw out, explore, identify information relevant to that particular change. Now basically understand, business analysis is all about bringing out that change. Remember that BSCCM, it speaks about like understanding about, okay, it speaks about a change that will happen from the need through a solution and to the stakeholders, okay, and it brings values to them, and it happens within some context. So the same thing here about that particular change, what information is required, we actually get that information when we conduct the elicitation. And we have 3 approaches in our illustration. The first one is collaborative, the second one is research, and the third one is experiments. Now collaborative means we directly interact with the stakeholders, and we get information from the stakeholders, and the information which they give is based on their experiences, the previous experiences, their expertise, and with their own judgment they will give us this information. That is collaborative mode. And so far generally what we know is only this. Okay, this is the only approach which we know so far. Now along with that we have 2 more approaches. One is research and the other one is experiments. Research means we will study the relevant informations and the materials, and we discover new action items there. We discover new processes, new action items, new rules. Okay, and even this information is not known to the stakeholders. Even this information is not known to the stakeholders. We should extract that information. Most of the times these information can be like governing body rules and regulations, compliances, or the government policies, right? The government policies, like that. We have so many, like these informations, these people may not be aware of it and they may be doing it, and sometimes we have to do research and then we have to get that information. Okay, and sometimes we can also get information from the historical data by doing some data analysis, and we can understand the trends which are happening in the past. So the similar trends may happen now as well, so we can get information from that area, right? And the third approach we have here is experiments. Now experiments mean nobody knows what is going to happen. Okay, so we will be, even the stakeholders do not know anything about it, and we cannot find anything from the previous experiences, or from the through any material as well. We will not know. It is only through experiments we will be discovering this new information. Okay, now why experiments? I'll tell you. Let me say we start a new process. We don't know anything about that particular process. Theory says something, but once we start implementing it, practical challenges we are going to face it. Those practical challenges we will be having it here. Okay, those practical challenges we will be understanding it here through experiments, and that is the source of information for doing our particular initiative, for making this particular change. That will be a source of information. So basically, while we are doing elicitation, there are three approaches. Number one, collaborative. Number two, research. Number three, experiments. Okay, so I want you to just note down in your notes these three. One is collaborative, the second one is research, the third one is experiments. Fine. Now here, these whatever techniques we use, okay, these techniques we can use one after the other, or parallelly we can use it, or mutually exclusively as well we can use it. And stakeholders may collaborate in illustration by participating and interacting during the illustration activity, and by researching, studying, providing feedback on the documents, systems, models, and interfaces. That means the stakeholders, we should buy in the stakeholders time as well for them to collaborate with us, and they should actually, whatever we do it, they should actually study it, and they should provide feedback on the documents what we do it, and they should also give inputs about their challenges as well, so that we will be understanding it here. Okay, so, and after that we need to understand what this task will be like taking. Okay, if you look into the task, it is conduct elicitation, and what inputs we are going to take is okay, we are going to take elicitation activity plan. We are going to take elicitation activity plan, and the output what we are going to generate with this task is elicitation results unconfirmed. We get the result, but it is not confirmed. We have to confirm it through the next task. Okay, and here, if you see the guidelines and tools, we have to take this business analysis approach, and existing business analysis information, and stakeholder engagement approach, and supporting materials. This we have to take it as inputs, and we have to start it. Okay, so here, if you can recall the structure of a task has a purpose, description, inputs, elements, outputs, then we have guidelines and tools, then we have various techniques to do, and the stakeholders involved. You remember that structure? Now as per the structure, now we will understand the input, and we know what should be the output, and the guidelines are given here. Now we need to understand the elements of it. Now we have to understand the elements of it. The elements of okay, now if you look into that elements, before we look into the elements, the illustration activity plan. Now I need not tell you about this activity plan. That is whatever we did yesterday, that outcome we are taking it as input here. Okay, illustration activity plan, that is what we have, the outcome of yesterday's discussion. We have to take it as input here, and then we have to start our discussion here. The first one is guide elicitation activity. Now we have two steps here, two elements here. The first one is guide elicitation activity, and the second one is capture elicitation outcomes. Okay, now we need to guide it. Now guiding this elicitation activity means, first we have to understand how to conduct this activity, and have come up with the guidelines of how to do it, and we should make everyone understand about this particular initiative or this particular action item, how we have to make it, and the role of each stakeholder involved in the elicitation. We have to make them understand it, and then from there we have to initiate for this particular change, how this elicitation activity will be conducted. We have to come up with a plan about it. Okay, and because we have to understand the elicitation activity goals and agenda, and then we have to understand the scope of the change, and what forms of outputs the activity will be generating. Okay, that we need to understand. And what are the other what we say representations the activity results will be supporting. It's not that what we actually do here, it has impact on the other activities as well. We have to understand that. Okay, and then we have this so in order to help guide and facilitate towards expected outcomes, business analysts should consider how the output integrates into what is already been known. So whatever you do, like whatever information you get, whatever is known, where you are integrating this information. So you need to understand it, and who will provide that information, okay, and who will use the information, and how the information will be used. All this we should be very clear. Now once all this information, theoretically it sounds to be like what is this, but once you start applying it on a case study, then you'll come to know the purpose of each action item here which is mentioned. Okay, and here we have to, this is all based on planning the illustration activity. What we have seen, planning the illustration activity, it is all based on that we have to work out on this. Okay, and here we need to have, like, let me say, discussion on out of scope and what is in scope, and we should understand how the change happens here, and what is the next action items we have to do. Okay, and how this we have to document it, we have to understand here. Okay, so conduct illustration means while you are conducting that illustration techniques, so what is the what procedure we have to follow, what is the role of each person, that has been clearly we have to understand it. Okay, and then the next element here is capture elicitation. Okay, it is capture elicitation outcomes. Okay, now this elicitation is a continuous process. Please understand, elicitation is a continuous process. It is not done not only before the project begins, or this is only in the requirements gathering stage we do it, requirements elicitation later on we don't communicate with the client. It's not the case. It is a continuous process right from the day one until the project is delivered. We will be eliciting information, we will be understanding the requirements, or we getting information from the stakeholders. It is a continuous process. So we will be conducting illustration is frequently iterative, and it takes place in series of sessions in parallel or in sequence. That's what we don't have any like a particular what we say approach to follow. Okay, now sometimes if the illustration activity is unplanned, outcomes are captured and integrated to the appropriate planned outcomes. That means, let me say, all of a sudden the client gets, or the stakeholder gets an idea, he shares it. Now we need to understand where to actually integrate this information, so that we have to understand it. And then capturing the illustration outcomes helps to ensure that the information produced during the illustration activities is recorded for later reference and use. Okay, so here what we are in conducting this illustration, capturing illustration outcomes is very, very important. Okay, number one, when it is a planned activity, then where to actually keep this information, or you should know. And if it is an unplanned one, then where to keep it as well, we should know. And we should also know the scope of the elicitation. We should also know the scope of the illustration. Based on it, we have to take it forward. Okay, and coming to this guidelines and tools, the first one is business analysis approach. Okay, it influences how each illustration activity is performed, and it identifies the types of outputs that will be needed based on the approach. Okay, now these guidelines are very, very, very important. Okay, because based on these guidelines only we will be doing this our particular what we say, whatever illustration we do it, based on the guidelines we do it. Okay, and existing business analysis information, it is very, very important. Let me say, in our case, existing business analysis information means it's like previously what illustration techniques we have actually been familiar with, is that suitable here, and are we going to make it, and what is suitable here in this particular context, that will be making it up. And stakeholder engagement approach, like that is previously what we have discussed, how we are going to approach these stakeholders, that we'll be seeing it. And the supporting materials, like supporting materials, already we know that what are the supporting materials, we have it here. Okay, and next is like the tools which you are going to use. The tools, if you see here, okay, the techniques which you are going to see here are like benchmarking and the market analysis. That is the first thing, and the second one is brainstorming, and then we have the business rules analysis, then we have the collaborative games, concept modeling and data mining, okay, data modeling and document analysis, focus groups, interface analysis, interviews, okay, mind mapping, okay. So observations, process analysis, like all these techniques, we can use it is here because these are the illustration techniques which we have, like observations, process analysis, okay, like process analysis, process modeling, prototyping, surveys or questionnaires, workshops, okay, all these are the various illustration techniques which we'll be using it. Now they have mentioned like somewhere around 20 illustration techniques we have it here. So these 20 techniques we can use it, approximately 20 techniques we can use it here. And coming to the stakeholders who are involved, the customer, domain subject matter expert, end user, implementation subject matter expert, sponsor, okay, and any stakeholder who has the relevant information, okay, or knowledge, they can be participating here, okay. So this is how we are going to conduct the elicitation. Okay, this is how we are going to conduct the illustration. Now we have to do that same exercise there, and before we do it, let me also speak about confirming elicitation results. Now confirming illustration results, here I will just directly speak about this. Okay, if you look into this, what inputs it is going to take is that the present, what are the previous activities what we did there, whatever the result we got it, whatever the result we got it, that result, okay, here we are going to, it comes as an unconfirmed illustration results that we take it as input, and then we do this task confirm illustration results, and the output would be illustration results confirmed. And here the guidelines and tools which we use here is elicitation activity plan and existing business analysis information. Based on it we are going to make it up. Okay, fine. So here what I can do is, concerning this case study, I will act like that. Let me say this accounts manager, and I can supply you with this some sample timesheets. I can simulate that and I can give you that information so that you can do that analysis part of it, and then you can actually do a kind of a real-time elicitation you can do, and I'll be acting like your point of contact. Okay, you can ask me those questions so that this case study may you can get complete information. Possibly this action we can do it tomorrow. We'll plan to do this illustration. Today I'll cover the subject, and tomorrow and I will share with you the timesheets and other miscellaneous information about this project. And then we will do, you will come prepared, and tomorrow we will conduct one elicitation, which illustration technique may be an interview. We'll conduct an interview. That means you guys will act like a business analyst, and you will be asking me questions and I'll be answering you, and you have to record them or note them, and then based on it we will do this activity here. Got it? So based that is how we are going to make it up. Then how to confirm, let me say if you have simulated it, you asked me questions and you got information, that information is elicitation results unconfirmed. That information what you got from me would be information results unconfirmed. Now the next task which you are going to do is you are going to confirm this illustration results, and the output of it would be illustration results confirming. Right, you got me? This is what you are going to make it up. And now here there are like two elements here for confirming elicitation results. The first one was confirm elicitation results against source information. Okay, against source information. Now source information means it's like let me say in the same you asked me question and I act like an account manager and I gave you answer, and my answers are little different from what the case study says. Now let me tell you about it. Now, case study may, if you have really have gone through that case study, do you know how the billing happens? I'll ask you a question. How the billing happens? It is on the placement they get the commission, or for the work they contributed they get paid. What is the mode of payment which is given there? So people who have gone through that Path Vista case study, they should answer me this question. Okay, you want the question?
I think
yeah.
Once the candidate is recruited, then only they get paid.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. So anyone who
it's the number of hours.
It's the number of hours
the recruiter has spent on working for a particular role.
Exactly. Now, if you read the case study says that it is not on the candidate, it is paid. You see, observe it. Okay, it is for the working hours which they spent, they are paid. Okay, now let me say you asked me a question and I told we get commission there, and that percentage will get it as that there will rise an invoice. Then you have to, there is a conflict here. Whatever the case study says is working hours, and whatever I said is maybe if it is a commission based, then there's a conflict. You have to actually, now once you take it, then you have to confirm. The source information says it is billing per hour and you said it is per candidate, then you have to confirm it. You got me clear what I'm trying to tell you? There's a conflict in information provided to you, then you will actually, you will compare it to the source information. Source information says that, what it says, source information, it is saying that the billing is done based on the contribution hours, but whereas the stakeholder said it is for the billing is done if the candidate is placed. Now there's a conflict here, then you will be confirming, then you will compare elicitation results against source information. You got me what you have to do it here? Got it? That is what we are trying to do it. And the second element is, okay, you compare illustration results against other illustration results as well. Now sometimes few illustration techniques may not be that suitable. Few illustration techniques may not be that suitable to extract that information. So you should understand which illustration technique is more suitable to take this information. Let me say the same information you can conduct, let me say you can conduct a brainstorming session and get that information. You can conduct an interview and you can get an information, and you can do like a process analysis and you can get that information. Okay, so there were multiple ways of taking that information. So you have to understand like what are the other sources of illustration which you can conduct, and what is their result. You will have to compare it. You have to understand their result as well, and then you have to confirm these results. You got me clear on this? So how you are going to confirm that illustration results? There were two elements here. The first element is compare illustration results against source information, and the second one is you have to compare it against other illustration results as well. So that is what you are going to make it up. Okay, fine. Hope you got it. Or any other questions you have here? Did you? Okay, did you get it or no?
Yeah, yes.
You're getting it right? Okay, fine. And then if you see here, okay, next is we will be going with this okay, this guidelines, that is the illustration plan what we have it, the based on that only we'll be doing it, and the existing business analysis information can be the guidelines. And after that we have the techniques. Now techniques for us to do how to confirm it is, now if you have a doubt, now just understand now you have to confirm it. Confirming it, so what are the various ways of confirming it is techniques used is, you can do document analysis, and you can do interviews, and you can do reviews, and you can conduct workshops, and you can conduct workshops to confirm these results, right? Already the information is there. You have to confirm the information. For confirming the information, you don't require big list of techniques. Just 4 techniques. One is document analysis, second one is interviews, third one is reviews, fourth one is workshops. It's with this we can easily confirm the results. These techniques are enough for us. Fine. And most of the times, who will be the stakeholders? Can anyone guess who will be the stakeholders for it? So if you want to confirm,
Yeah, recruit.
the domain subject matter experts, that is what you have said. I given it a title, domain
Yeah.
subject matter experts, right? The recruitment guys, domain subject matter experts, or
Yeah.
any stakeholder who is like who knows more about this particular process can also be a part of it. Hope you are getting connected to the subject what I'm trying to ask you. Slowly, if, with respect to the case study, you're able to now guess who can confirm the results here, right? Who can involve as stakeholders here. You can, and the output, what will be the output? Output will be the illustration results confirmed. Fine, clear on this? Hope you got these two tasks. Okay, the first task is conduct illustration and the next task is confirm illustration results. You're clear on that? Okay, next is we have to communicate business analysis information. What is the next task? We have to communicate business analysis information. Now business analysis information, now let me first open up this diagram for you because you can connect it with it. Okay, communicate business analysis information. Okay, this is very, very important. And what inputs it is going to take is that business analysis information that it is going to take and stakeholder engagement plan. Based on it, you are going to communicate this information, and the output of it is that business analysis information being communicated. Okay, and here what I want to tell you is that it is not one-time activity. Business analysis communication, business analysis information communication is not one-time activity. It is a continuous process. It is a continuous process, and over the period of time, the stakeholders may change their what we say designations. Sometimes they're suppose if you map them onto RICA, initially they may be in the informed group. Slowly they may rise to the consulted group, and sometimes they can even get into the responsible group. Sometimes they become decision makers as well. So you have to have an idea about all this information there. Okay, now let us see the purpose of it. The purpose of business analysis information communication is, okay, to ensure that stakeholders have a shared understanding of business analysis information. That means what is happening here, everyone should have the same clarity and idea. For that reason we have it. Okay, and now here business, how we are going to make this communication happen. Okay, here we have to first of all understand that right information to the right stakeholder at the right time. 3R. You have to understand that 3R. What is this 3R? States that, please write down 3R. Okay, 3R. 3R is number one. First R is right information, and the second R is to the right stakeholder, and the third R is at the right time. Okay, did you note that 3R? 3R communication, we say 3R means we have to communicate the right information with the right stakeholder at the right time. Okay, and the reverse way, we have to take the right information from the right stakeholder at the right time. Now while we communicate this information, we have to communicate the information in their understandable format. In their understandable format. Now I'll tell you, in their understandable format means the other day when I'm working on one project, what actually happened, I'll discuss with you. I'll tell you. The client actually, he is maintaining his own data in one structure. Okay, the business analyst later on while interacting with the client has taken that information and changed that format into a different structure. Okay, very simple example to give you a clue about it. The stakeholder is maintaining an Excel sheet, and in columns he kept the date. Let me say in columns he kept the date, date wise, like let me say it's a monthly report. He is looking into that monthly report. In the columns he has dates, like 1 2 3 4 5 6. In the columns he has the dates. Now business analyst while working on it, he changed the dates from the columns to rows. right, from the columns to rows. Please understand. Now he started working and he completed and he gave the result as well. And then the stakeholder, he got confused to read that report because his mindset is actually there's nothing much, only the structure changed. Instead of columns, we have rows. Instead of rows, we have columns. So that guy couldn't take it. So he came up with a change request directly. He came up with a change request and later on he escalated it. The original format is in this way and you have changed that format later on. Now what I'm trying to tell you is whatever the stakeholder is comfortable with, that format you have to maximum follow. And if you are changing it, you have to take an approval of it. If you are changing that format, you have to take the approval of it. And don't change the vocabulary of the stakeholders as well. Now vocabulary, what they actually use, leave them to their style. Don't you don't come and change it. Don't give new keywords to them. They'll be confused. So don't give new keywords to them. You have to follow that language, that tone and style of presenting things. Okay. And then okay, the next is like we need to understand the communication is bidirectional. The communication of the business analysis information is bidirectional and iterative. That is continuously it will happen. Okay. And what is actually involved here is you have to, it involves determining the recipients, content, purpose, context, and expected outcomes. All this is involved here. And communicating information does not simply involve pushing information out and assuming it was received and understood. So let me say, now the best example I'll tell you, I push information to the drive and I say, okay, since I've shared, you guys will be understanding it. I should also confirm you with you that I have uploaded it in that and make you aware that once it is happened, it is uploaded there. If you can recall day 1, day 2, what I did is that once I uploaded it, I say I acknowledged it saying that I uploaded the video there or I have shared the document there. So I started doing it. You guys can recall it? I started confirming it. I've shared the document. I have sent a mail. Please check, like that. I've been confirming it, right? And you have been acknowledging, yes, I have received it, yes, I have seen it. You have been acknowledgement. So here this is very, very important. If you look into that communication, it is not one direction, it is bidirectional. Both ways it should happen. Both ways it should happen. Fine, you got me. And then if you can look into it, how we are going to make it up is, so this communication, in this communication, what we have to do is that we have to engage the stakeholders to ensure that they understand the information and gain an agreement. And we should also act on any disagreements. Okay. So if you hide information from them in the initial stages and later on they discover it, it is not for their what we say standards nor their understanding, then it comes as a failure and we have to redo it. Okay. Now here, this business analysis information communication should also be like we have to understand that may need to change if the stakeholders are not receiving it or understanding it. Okay. So it is the, let me say, if you're communicating in one way, they're not understanding it, then we have to change the mode of delivering that information. Let me say directly BABOK I shared with you and I said, okay, I open and I say, okay, read it. Then you may not understand it. BABOK is very lengthy. So we have to cut short it through presentation or through notes. We are making it like in a short form, we are presenting the subject. Now, let me say I didn't share BABOK, I only shared presentation. Sometimes you need some elaborative information. Then you have to actually refer to the main notes. That is the main BABOK reference guide, right? So here we need to understand in which way it will be understood. So that way only we have to communicate it. It's not like whatever I have only that I'll communicate. It's not in that way. We have to try out multiple ways of communications. Suppose if you are not understanding it in one communication, then we have to come up with a different communication standard model, and then we have to do it. Okay. Next is okay. So the inputs, already we know about the inputs. It is business analysis information, stakeholder engagement plan. Now once we start working with this case study, this you will easily understand this particular part. And then okay, the first element here is we have to determine, okay, objectives and format of communication. Okay, now as I've been saying that communications, we have to understand what we are going to communicate. Okay, this we call it as business analysis information packages. Okay, so what communications we'll be doing it is that communication of requirements and designs to the stakeholders. Okay, what will be communicating? Requirements and designs to the stakeholders, and early assessment of quality and planning, and evaluation of possible alternatives, and formal reviews and approvals, inputs to design solutions, and conformance to contractual and regulatory obligations, and maintenance for reuse. Now this is business analysis information, what we are going to make it up, all this information we are going to communicate. And the primary goal of developing a package is to convey information clearly and in a usable format for continuous change activities. For continuous change activities we have to make it. Okay, and here to help to decide how to present requirements, business analyst asks the following types of questions, like what is that, who is the audience of this particular package, okay, what will each type of stakeholder understand and need from this communication, and right, and what is each stakeholder's preferred style of communication or learning, what information is important to communicate, are the presentation and format of the package and the information contained in the package appropriate for the type of audience, how does the package support other activities, are there any regulatory contractual constraints to conform to. So all this we should be understanding here. Okay, so here before we do it, before we establish this communication channels, we have to understand these sections. Okay, and then we have to go with this like possible forms of the packages would be like formal documentation and informal documentation and presentations. There will be three forms of this packages. Okay, okay, formal documentation and informal documentation and presentation. Formal documentation is usually based on the templates what they give by the organization. It has text, matrices, diagrams like that, and we will be using formal documentation, and everyone is accustomed to it and they can easily understand it, and it is used for long term record. Okay, and informal documentation is ad hocly we may get it, but it is not a part of it. But let me say if a change comes, during that particular change this informal documentation may come, and slowly we'll integrate to the formal documentation. And then we have the presentations. Okay, here in the presentations we will be like uh, presenting the goals of the change, functions of a solution, and information to support the decision making. So presentations what for we use to understand the goals of change and functions of a solution or the information to support decision making. So for that we do presentations. Let me say if you are stuck in a conflict, then what we try to do is that we will be like getting into those details. Okay, now here we have to just understand the stakeholders, how what they can actually understand, how they can understand. Based on it we have to go with different packages. Now here if you can understand, I am going in multiple, like one is presentation is there, BABOK is there, and then we are also doing a case study that is in Google Drive. May we have the document is there, and PDF formats have been sharing with you. Like we have these various forms of doing it. Now not in a single form, in whichever form the stakeholder is more comfortable, we have to adapt to it and do the other permutations and combinations to make this information available, so that this guy would go through it, understand it, and he can give you a feedback of it, and he can also collaborate with you on this and we can make maximum utilization of this business analysis information. Okay, so sometimes these documents can be online, sometimes it can be offline. Okay, sometimes it can be online or sometimes it can be offline. Got it? And the next one is here we have decided on that. And the next one is a communicate business analysis package. Okay, the next one is communicate business analysis package. First of all, we have to understand the objectives and format of the communication. What is the objective and format of the communication? We have to decide on it. Objectives and format of the communications we have to understand. And the second element here, what we got is, okay, communicate business analysis package. We have to communicate business analysis package. That means first we have drawn it and then we are now doing it. Okay. Now the purpose of communicating this business analysis package or information is to provide stakeholders with appropriate level of detail about the change so that they can understand the information it contains. Okay. And here the stakeholders are given the opportunity to review the package, ask questions about the information, and raise any concerns they may have. And coming to this communication platforms, we have group collaboration and we have individual collaboration. We have email and other non-verbal methods we can use it. Okay, we can use email and non-group collaboration, individual collaboration, and email and other non-verbal methods we can use it. Okay, got it. So group collaboration means, let me say, the document which I've shared with you, collaborator, that is a group collaboration, the Google document. Individual collaboration means one-to-one, what we are discussing, like you have sent me a mail through email and that document I have sent you individually, that is individual collaborations. Okay. And email and other non-verbal communications, we can use it for clarifying small doubts. We can do it one-to-one. We do not waste the entire group time. So that way we can do it. Fine, got it. Now here, guidelines and tools, we need not discuss much about it because once we start working in it, business analysis approach and information management approach will be the guidelines. And then the techniques what we can use here. Okay, it is very simple. It is just like a few stakeholders will be involved here. Not everybody, no, only few stakeholders will be involved who is like who wants to access this information. So only interviews, reviews, workshops will be enough for us to decide on the business analysis communications. Okay, business analysis information communication, that is enough. And who will be accessing this information? Stakeholders, end users, customers, domain subject matter experts, implementation subject matter experts, the testers, and any stakeholder who will be like who is involved in this particular project can be that. And then what is the output? Output would be business analysis information communicated. Fine, got it, clear on this? Okay. And here the next, we have to manage stakeholder collaboration. We have to manage stakeholder collaboration. Now, manage stakeholder collaboration means first you have to understand this task. Oh, right. So here we are going to take stakeholder engagement approach as input, and we are going to take a business analysis performance assessment, that is key performance indicators like that. Those two items are taken as inputs here, and we manage stakeholder collaboration, and the output is stakeholder engagement, and the output is stakeholder engagement. Okay. And here the guidelines and tools what we use here is business analysis approach, business objectives, future state descriptions, recommended actions, risk analysis results. This will be there. Okay. And we need to understand the purpose of this stakeholder collaboration, how we are going to manage the stakeholder collaboration. Okay. Now the purpose is to encourage stakeholders to work towards a common goal. Why we require this is that we have to encourage the stakeholders to work towards a common goal. Okay, right. And when you want to understand how we are going to make it up is, okay, so here we need to understand that a business analysis work will have so many collaboration opportunities for the group of stakeholders on the business analysis work products. Okay. And we have various degrees of influence and authority over the approval of the work products. So the stakeholders, they have various like they are not in the same way. We have, as I've been saying about like RACA, like a responsible, accountable, and then in some cases supportable and consulted, informed, that category would be there. Okay. So we need to understand who are the decision makers here and who will be contributing towards it, and who, like what are the each stakeholders roles, responsibilities, influence, attitude, and authority. We need to assess it first, and we should also understand that these attributes may change from time to time. These attributes may change from time to time. So this is very, very important. Okay, this may change from time to time. What is that? It is going to change each stakeholder's role, responsibility, influence. Okay, influence and attitude and authority. This will change from time to time. So here we should be very clear about it. And here, if you don't maintain good relationships, then we will have so much of impact on it, like failure to provide quality information, strong negative reactions to setbacks and obstacles, resistance towards change, and a lack of support for our participation in business analysis work, and business analysis information being ignored. All this will happen if you do not manage the stakeholder collaboration. So that is a risk what you can do. Okay, and how we have to make it more strong is that okay, so you have to make it a strong, positive, trust based relationship with the stakeholders, so that you can manage good relationship with the stakeholders who can provide services to the business analysis. Okay, and those, okay, and they will give you inputs towards your business analysis tasks and all the supporting activities. And okay, they depend on the services provided by the business analyst, and including outputs of the business analysis task what you give them, and participate in the execution of the business analysis tasks. So that is the advantage of making good relationship with the concerning stakeholders, and you have a good stakeholder collaboration. All right, and now if you look into the elements part of it, number one, we have this gain agreement on commitments. Okay, number one, we have gain agreement on commitments, and number two, we monitor the stakeholder engagement. Number three, we have this collaboration. So how we will make it up? Number one, we have to gain agreement on commitments. Now gain agreement on commitment, what is this agreement on commitment means? What we have to do is that stakeholder participate in business analysis activities, okay, may require time and resource commitments. We have to tell them that so and so, like a daily 1 hour meeting would be there. He should pull out that 1 hour time for your meetings, and also should contribute towards this. So he should have that commitment. And the business analyst and stakeholder identify and agree upon these commitments as early in the initiative as possible. That means they should come up to this agreement beforehand. Okay, so this should be mostly, it will be formal, and sometimes it can be informal. Communications can also happen, as long as some understanding on the expectations and desired results on the commitment is there. Okay, and it is like here there may be a dialogue and negotiations regarding the terms and conditions of the commitments. Effective negotiations, communication, and conflict resolution skills are required for us to have this effective stakeholder management plan. Now this is what here I've been saying beforehand as well. We have to buy in the stakeholders time for them to contribute here. Okay, and then we have to monitor the stakeholder engagement. The next one is we have to monitor the stakeholder engagement. So how you are going to, okay, so we have to manage the stakeholder engagement. Okay, I think we are, okay, so how we are going to make it up is business analysts monitor the participation and performance of the stakeholders to ensure that the right subject matter experts and other stakeholders, okay, are participating effectively, and the stakeholder attitudes and interests are staying constant and improving. That means if they want a particular initiative, they should contribute it, and illustration results are confirmed in a timely manner, and agreements and commitments are maintained. Okay, so here we should also understand continuously, we should monitor the stakeholders if they are being diverted to other works, or illustration activities not providing the quality of business analysis information required, or are we getting delayed approvals, like that we should be having that eye on it. And then coming to the collaboration, okay, stakeholders are more likely to support change if the business analysts collaborate with them and encourage the free flow of information, ideas, and innovations. Genuine stakeholder engagement requires that all the stakeholders involved feel that they are heard, their opinions matter, and their contributions are recognized. Okay, and the collaboration involves regular, frequent, bidirectional communication, and the collaborative relationship maintains free flow of information. Okay, when the obstacles and setback occurs, and promote a shared effort to resolve the problems and to achieve the desired outcomes. Okay, now here collaboration is very, very important. That now let me say you involve one stakeholder and you did not listen to their concerns. They say, okay, fine, note it, I'll see later. So you should also, like, it is very, very important that you need to uh, make them feel that they are heard, their opinions matter, and their contributions are recognized. This is very, very important for us. Okay, got it. So here we need to understand that the elements for managed stakeholder collaborations, we have two elements. One is gain agreement on commitments, and the other one is we have to monitor the stakeholder engagement. Okay, and the guidelines and rules, guidelines and tools, I think we can easily understand about it. And then we go with the techniques. So what techniques we can use is business analysis approach, business objectives, future state. Okay, these are the guidelines. Future state descriptions, recommended actions, risk analysis results would be there. And coming to the techniques here, what techniques we are going to use here is like collaborative games, lessons learned, risk analysis and management, stakeholder list, map, and personas. So the techniques which are used for stakeholder collaborations are, you can see here, collaborative games, lessons learned, okay, and risk analysis and management, stakeholder map, personas, because it involves the persons, it involves the individuals or the stakeholders. That's the very reason we will be like using these techniques. You just understand these techniques, you are different for each task. Techniques used are different. In each task, techniques used are different. Fine, got it, clear on this? Okay, and here the output you can see the stakeholder engagement plan, we will be getting it. So we have, what we have to do next is that we have to apply this knowledge onto that case study for what we have gone for this uh, prepare for illustration. That is what we did for that. Okay, the next step, the next 4 tasks, we will be applying it, and we'll be working on it. Fine, got it, clear on this? Tomorrow we'll do I will do a role play, like you have to prepare for the elicitation, what you have to ask any questions like that, and then we will just follow whatever we did, whatever we discussed now. We follow step by step all these steps and understand, and we will document it. And when we are working on the document, definitely our clarity on these concepts will improve. Okay, the clarity on these concepts will improve. Fine, got it, clear on this? And any questions from your end, you can ask me.